Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are on their buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmark to your website in seconds, by letting the AI do all the work, and increase conversions while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmark.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. Today we're joined by Emily Thompson. She's the marketing manager at CoSchedule. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Rick. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you, Emily, and I'm excited about this one, especially because of the way that's this manifested in a way where we've been trying to get this scheduled, and finally we're here. We talked about the report. Now I'm just hinting at it, but we talked about the report that you guys did at CoSchedule. But before we get into all of that, right? Let's start with the basics for a second, Emily. What's the big idea behind CoSchedule, and how would you describe it to someone new?
Yeah, so we are a marketing project management software. And I know that some of those terms can be gobbledygook. So, really, we are designed to help marketers manage campaigns, clients, content, social media, all from one place. I like to describe it to my friends as imagine your project management software merged with your social media scheduling tool. That's CoSchedule. We are predominantly a social media scheduling software, but we also, different from a lot of the schedulers, we also have a huge calendar arm of our software for project management. So a lot of people love it because it's kind of a one-stop shop for all of the project management details that come with content, which is every marketer knows just a behemoth to manage. The project management element of content is so time consuming and so difficult when it's not done well. So we really care about helping marketers speed up that process and eliminate the headaches of project management.
Yeah, not that's a way to help marketers stay sane, right? In many different ways. But um, are there specific subsets, if you will, specific types of marketers that you feel could really get help from using CoSchedule? Is that kind of like a main problem that you help them solve at the moment, or maybe different problems as you were talking about, the different ways that you can help them? But that all in all, just trying to understand really, in other words, who's your ICP, right? Who's the person that actually could benefit from using your product, and who are you targeting?
What's so fun in my role is we really span the full spectrum of marketers because we have different levels of our product. So we have everything from a really lower level of responsibility of our product all the way up to a higher grade for enterprise organizations. So I have a friend who works very part-time, not even a marketer, has been assigned to take over social media for her nonprofit who uses CoSchedule, all the way up to organizations with 50,000 employees using CoSchedule to manage all of their marketing and their multiple marketing departments. So all across the board, which is a really fun ICP.
The, no, yeah, I'll bet. I mean, it's got to be hard to be able to kind of target all of those different. It's such a high, like a broad spectrum, right? But at the same time, I'm sure there are problems that are actually that these people share. They have in common, right? The scheduling part, the project management. So in a way, the broader it gets, it might get really hard to specify, but at the same time. Uh, it might be easier to find a messaging that resonates, right? Because you find all of these clusters of problems, and then you say, okay, this is what we help you solve. I don't know if that resonates at all, but does that make
Yeah, I
sense?
know it. I know at Pathmonk you specialize in helping people understand the different behavior of different audiences on your website, and we definitely care a lot about that too. We definitely understand that you talk differently to a solo social media strategist than you do to a major organization. But at the end of the day, I do think what I've learned about marketing and having worked in many different sized organizations is I think the thing we all have in common is we all have major management elements of our job that need to be refined. We are all drowning in too much work and need a system that helps us be productive, whether it's a social media strategist that's just kind of flying by the seat of her pants because she doesn't really have a system, all the way up to just we have so many people to manage and so many projects. I think we're all sort of figuring out how to do project management well. And it's interesting, that's not a topic I see marketers talking about very often, but I think project management is one of those things that when it's done well, you don't see it and you take it for granted, but when it's not in place, the whole organization suffers. So it's fun to be a part of a tool that helps keep marketers sane no matter what size their organization is and no matter what task they have on their plates.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about management not being talked about as much, because it's a priority, right? And going back to how CoSchedule works really and who you're helping, in a way it's about prioritizing, right? Management is a lot about that. Speaking of which, speaking about prioritizing, I had the pleasure to to go through the report that you guys did, the what marketers are prioritizing in 2026, and there was an interesting stat in there that I wanted to talk about with you, right? So there's a stat that says 79% of marketers prioritize AI driven goals right now. Do you think we are accidentally contributing to that noise, or maybe there's a way out? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I'll just give a little background on the survey so people know what we're talking about. Every year, CoSchedule does a major marketing industry research project. We have just having been in business for 12 years, we have a huge database of marketers, and we love to uh, engage them with a survey to ask something about something relevant in their world. And so a year ago, we asked, are you using AI? Where are you at with AI? Do you find it helpful? Do you not find it helpful? And found that marketers were overwhelmingly positive about AI and had fully integrated into their work life. And that was just fun to discover. A year later, we wanted to turn around and go, okay, how are you now? A year
Hmm.
into fully integrating AI into your life, how are you doing? What's working in your marketing? What's not working? Where are you seeing ROI decline and where is it increasing? I just wanted to look at how is the marketing industry doing? We know that a lot of things changed very rapidly in 2025 with AI and search and this is what the results showed. Marketers were overwhelmingly positive about AI. 79% indicated they believe their performance increased in 2025 because of using AI.
Hmm.
73% said AI will significantly reshape my work this year. We asked a question about sentiment towards AI, and only 3% believed that it had fundamentally hurt the industry. Only 1% believed it had kind of reached its peak, creative peak, and would start declining in 2026. So there's this sense that like the debates that I see so frequently on LinkedIn about whether or not AI is valuable, our research showed that conversation is over. The sentiment towards AI is incredibly optimistic in the industry,
Hmm.
which you can miss if you only read the voices. But things are not all rosy. At the same time, marketers indicated that ROI has declined across every channel. When asked which channels are delivering the best results, there was no clear winner. Um, Email maybe by a tiny margin, but not much. And they really indicated that their biggest challenge and top priority this year will be lead generation, and they're deeply concerned about AI content saturation. So you have this sense
Mhm.
of things are really tight. Marketers are under higher pressure, higher stakes. They maybe have less of an idea of what moves the needle than they did a year ago, but they aren't blaming AI for those challenges in the market. But surely we're entering this year um, with higher stakes and more challenges in marketing than before. And so I really think 2026 is the year where we have to get laser sharp about metrics and looking at what's actually working, what's leading to growth. And it might be incremental more than landslides in this new environment.
No, that's a good point. And thanks for adding to the context. Obviously, I came out guns blazing with the stat. Now you're giving everyone, what it actually means and what kind of research you guys are doing as far as priorities and way people and marketers especially see AI. And I like there's an optimistic take on it. I don't like, the gloom and doom that's around a lot. Of course, we have to have guardrails. We have to, make sure that it's safe to use in so to speak. But uh, I think AI is here to stay, obviously, and we need to find ways to use it to our advantage, especially for what you mentioned about you touched on channels, right? Lead gen will be one of them, but for example, us at Pathmonk, obviously, we're big on websites, right? Now, I know your background is in content and social. How much of a role does your website play in all of this? Speaking about the content that you put out, do you use AI to help you out with it? And is there anything that you think really works at the moment as far as AI and conversions?
Yeah, the fascinating thing about doing a research project is you have to be ready to learn that the industry and world of marketers say something different from what you believe as a marketer. One of the interesting things that also came out of the survey is marketers indicated that social media, at the same time saying lead generation is their top priority this year, they said social media is the area we're most leaning into. You would expect they would say their website when saying that lead generation is their top priority. So that was a surprising result that makes you wish you could go back and do a second survey and ask more questions. But I do still believe the website is crucial for driving conversions, and we share just a love for diving into what understanding how different targets behave differently on your website and looking at that at both a granular level, but then the big picture and drawing inferences and customizing their journey through your website according to their needs. But you're right, marketing has changed so drastically, so quick in the last year, but really since I started my career before Twitter even existed. Yet I think there are these drumbeat fundamentals in marketing that are as important for us to get right as they were before and as hard for us to get right as they were decades ago. Um, I think we have to be laser focused on the problems or goals our visitors have and crystal clear about how we solve that. It's not about us, it's
Mhm.
about them. The more human we do that, the more we build immediate trust and give them a reason to enter into a relationship with us. We have to understand their problems, not our flashy selling points, and we need to understand how they use us, not how we wish they used us. And if we in the past could get away with doing that in a bit of a more generic degree, I think AI has taken that away because it's raised the stakes. Now anyone can do that at a generic degree. And so the stakes are higher with AI, and we have to figure out how to be as human as we possibly can because the bar has been raised. If that does not feel like the biggest oxymoron in the world to use AI and human so much in the same paragraph. But one of my favorite use cases of how to how to focus on lead generation, how to do lead generation really well on a website is a really solid use of video that in the intro speaks directly to the visitor. I see this pain point you're dealing with. Here's how I can resolve that. And it's interesting when I say that, it sounds so basic. It sounds like a marketing 101 class, and yet I so rarely see it being done well that I think AI reminds us we have to get back to the basics and we have to do it better than we ever have before.
That's a great point. I love your take on, being more human and just to what you said, right? Being able to connect with that pain point. There's someone I spoke to recently on the episode here that was saying, I'm shifting more towards going from how to how I. And people resonate with that a lot more. You're a person, right? You're struggled with something specific maybe, and now you're explaining how you're dealing with it and how you might be able to solve it. Of course, there's levels to that, and that you cannot always do that in software, for example. But I think it's a good framework, a good mind frame really to start from, because then people will relate to it a lot more, right? So stay human, right? I guess we can play on the slogan for a little bit. But speaking of human, I want to switch gears for a second, Emily. I want to talk about you as a leader, right? So as a marketing manager, what's a day in the life for Emily like? What are the main focus? What are the main things you focus on, rather? And yeah, just want to give us a glimpse into your day.
Yeah, speaking of project management, a lot of my day is spent making sure that my team has what they need and are empowered to execute their roles on their specific channels. So a day in the life for me is both looking at our KPIs and how things are performing, looking ahead to what we need to be prioritizing, meeting with our different teams across product, engineering, and customer support and sales. But then also just making sure that my team of marketers who work with me have everything they need to thrive.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, this is for you specifically because we typically ask about there's a let's say there's a flood of content out there, right? And it's really hard, personally speaking, it's really hard to stay focused and understanding and discerning what's the good content and what's the bad content. How do you stay focused? Maybe you have a more critical eye, right? You're able to discern better, but how do you stay focused and keep learning with this ocean of slob out there?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I think it is very, very difficult right now as a marketer to know where to land when the voices and trends of the voices about trends that are happening in our industry swing the gamut. I mean, I joke that I could start my morning reading some bleeding edge AI content and, think, oh man, we're behind. We got to be doing that. And then sign into LinkedIn and see someone still just going off about M dashes. We have got to stop talking about M dashes. I just, you swing the gamut. And I asked a question on my LinkedIn at the end of the year. I called it the anti-year in review. What was the least helpful thing you did for your career this year? And mine was that I read way too many bleeding edge AI marketing newsletters in 2025. And it took me a minute of reading them to realize they were talking about the flashiest, shiniest new objects that weren't actually going to move the needle in my own workplace. And I needed to stop trying to stay on the leading edge when the reality was there are other fundamentals that really needed more of my priority. And so one of the things that has actually grounded me is this research that CoSchedule does every year because it grounds me in what is marketers' reality versus the headlines. We know the headlines are always going to go to the most sensational and what's most new and what's most trending, but it's exhausting to follow it all and track the developments and panic that you're behind. So it's a balancing act of adoption versus just being confident in what you know in your experience. You know, we're reinventing a new normal here in marketing with AI. And I think the of the survey can help us know where to land versus the voices in the industry that are just vying for your attention, but maybe aren't worth listening to always.
Okay, that I love that you know that point about M dashes. I know it's a small thing really in what you were talking about, but
But we're
it's a funny
still
thing.
talking about it.
I
We're still
know, and
talking about it
also,
every day.
I got a bone to pick, right? Because I was using M dashes before AI was even a thing, as in mainstream, and now I kind of stopped using them because I don't want people to think I'm using AI. So,
Same.
so you know what I mean? But it's the focus on the minutia really, and not thinking about the bigger picture. So, I appreciate your take on that. That's really interesting. Um, well, to wrap things up, Emily, I would love us to jump into a rapid fire segment, if you're willing, right? It's a few quick, light and engaging, hopefully, questions to go through, but I want to learn more about you, more about your habits. So, you ready for that?
Yeah. Shoot.
All right, sweet. So, when it comes to content, right, to stay on that topic, do you prefer watching, listening, or reading to content?
Reading, I'm an old soul. I read the classics. I started a book club to read the greatest novels of all time.
Love
Uh,
it.
I'm old school.
Okay, okay, I love that. Okay, so what's the latest? I would say book. Could be any type of written content. It could be a blog post if you wanted to. I think you're gonna go to a book, but and that you picked up, and were there any gems that really stuck with you?
I just reread Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And so not brand new reads for me, but one of the things my book club, I'm reading it for my book club. One of the things we always discuss, if I can parallel this to marketing, is why did this book endure and why did it capture people's attention and affection? Why has it stood the test of time? And I think the parallels to marketing, we're trying to create a story that endures and is memorable. So I would argue that every marketer should read, whether they love or hate it. I could argue for at great length why reading makes you a better marketer.
I would agree with that. If you had a magic wand and could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech, what would it be?
Okay, so I'm an editor at heart. And every editor would tell you they have one thing that they correct over and over and over. I had a job where I think 20 times a day I said, make sure the capitalization is consistent. Make sure the capitalization is consistent. And so I would love a tool. Well, hey, in the day of AI, that tool is here. I love a good tool that eliminates the repetitive tasks that just happen over and over and over again.
Okay. I'm sure there's something out there that's, it's already catering in a way, right, to that. So maybe you'll find a few vendors in your LinkedIn inbox or your email if or there are ways to get them. But that's not what I'm wishing on you. If that helps you, of course, that helps you. But with that said, I'm curious also about if there's a, specific task that you love to put on autopilot that's repetitive that you do every day.
Well, yeah, I guess I kind of said that in my previous answer. You were asking more, what's like one magic thing that I would fix if like there were no limits.
Hmm.
Let me answer, since I said it, the repetitive task of editing and capitalization. Let me give you a bigger picture answer. I would, I wish that I could, at all times of day, have a phone a friend lifeline. That's someone who is all knowing in marketing and all wise that I could bounce ideas off of. I think my answer will speak to to this idea that we're all relearning what moves the needle in marketing. Um, I want someone I can call and just say, what do you think of this? Debate me. Tell me why this is a terrible idea. Um, because, we're stepping into a new normal. And so this ability to turn to tried and true realities is not there anymore. Marketing teams have shrunk, so we don't have the same number of people to collaborate with anymore. And I've learned that marketing is so different business to business, that even my own marketing uh, friends, we can't always help each other be good sounding boards because you just don't have time to go into all of the nuances. So I'd like a magical phone a friend lifeline in marketing if I could snap my fingers and magically have anything I wanted.
That would be good. I like that. Hi, Emily. I want to thank you a lot for being on the show with us today. I also want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, Emily, what is the one thing that they should remember about the work you guys are doing at CoSchedule?
I'd say if you are suffering in drowning in tasks, because I genuinely believe that most marketers have more on their plate than they can get done in a day, reach for help. Um, Reach out to tools that can get you off the crazy train. We have to get sharper. AI has taken away general marketing as we know it. I think the area we should start getting sharpest is project management. It's hard to hire, it's hard to master. We will live and die by it as organizations. So, uh, if you find yourself drowning in the day-to-day management, take a minute to breathe and look for tools that can help.
Great message. Appreciate it, Emily. And if people want to get that help, how can they do it? Or they find you guys?
Sure, find us at coschedule.com.
Too easy.
Too easy.
All right, Emily, thanks again for being with us today. And hopefully we get to do this again soon, maybe before the year ends or, for the next report, can make it a regular thing. But with that said, it was a really insightful conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did and wish you a wonderful day, Emily. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I'd love to come back. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Bye, everyone.